Aloha everybody and welcome back to part 3 of Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. We just finished replaying the first level so we could get all the blueprints, so that we could unlock one more emblem, so that we could unlock the Scrapyard level, so that we could meet up with our good old buddy Knuckles the Echidna, so that he could join our party, so then we could 100% all of the stages without having to replay anything. That was a mouthful. But now we're finally at Scrapyard. You know, Sticks, I think the three of us would make a pretty good team. I heard there's no I in teamwork. That's right. Why was that text so slow? Then how does it see? I mean, if teamwork doesn't have an eye, then it's blind, right? How are we gonna find Knuckles without any eyes? Oh, 2 eyes! That's plenty enough to find Knuckles. Let's go! What just happened? I feel like that would have been better if it wasn't in text, if this was actually voice acted and scripted as an actual cutscene or something, but that's not something that would happen until the sequel game Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice doesn't actually have these text cutscenes, and it was a good decision to have just actual in-game cutscenes with camera angles and pacing, because sometimes when you write jokes out in a script, it doesn't really have the same effect as if you were watching it in a cartoon, you know? It's why the Sonic Boom TV show is so damn funny, because the editors of that show, the people writing the script of that show, you know, everything is just working together to make all of the jokes pay off and work really well. And again, I have to stress, if you think these games are boring, and I could understand that, I don't think Shattered Crystal is the most exciting game in the world, but I'm doing my best to make the material much more entertaining, trust me. But the Sonic Boom TV show is really, really funny. It's actually much funnier than the games themselves, and something I really like lately, that's not because of my Let's Play, I'm not going to have an ego about it, but ever since my Let's Play, I've been seeing on Twitter nowadays, a lot of people have been posting clips of the Sonic Boom TV show. They've actually been showing out-of-context scenes from the various episodes of the 2 seasons, what I meant to say. And people are really getting into the humor of Sonic Boom nowadays, and people are really finding the show and discovering how freaking funny and how it's not just written for kids, it is written for adults. This is the kind of humor that, like, a 20-something, 30-something person could actually laugh at. And, again, I feel like people slept on this cartoon show just because the games didn't have a great reception. All you ever heard about Sonic Boom was, oh, Rise of Lyrics, the worst thing ever. It's one of the worst video games of all time. Oh my god, look what it did to the Sonic franchise, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think that was really fair to the show. I think that was the worst PR that show could have possibly gotten. And I think people who sleep on that show and think like, oh, it's just a whatever kid's Sonic cartoon, give it a shot. Give it a shot. I think you're going to be surprised just how weird and wacky and smart and clever and sarcastic it can really be. Sonic Boom is easily my favorite of the Sonic cartoon TV shows. It's like the most rewatchable show to me, where I feel like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I could come back to Sonic Boom and it will still be funny. Whereas if I go back to watch Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog from the 90s with Jaleel White, it's definitely a little dated. I once debated, like, after the Sonic retrospective is done, when I've actually caught up with all the games. It's gotta happen eventually, right? But once I've caught up with all the games, maybe I should actually go back to all the TV shows and do reviews of the TV shows. The only problem with that is YouTube is a fickle mistress, and uploading footage of television shows and movies probably would give my channel a strike, and I don't know if I'd be able to do that. Maybe I could post screenshots or just, you know, speak into the microphone like it's a podcast, and then you guys can just do without the visuals and then whatever, but I've always thought about, like, analyzing all of the cartoons, you know, Adventures in Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog Sat AM. It's called Sat AM because it came on Saturday mornings, and that's the only way people distinguish it, even though there's no other cartoon called Sonic the Hedgehog, so I don't know why we need the distinction. The first one was called Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, not Sonic the Hedgehog. The next ones are Sonic Underground, Sonic X, Sonic Boom. You don't need the distinction, okay? That's all I'm saying. We don't need to call it Sonic Sat AM. It's just Sonic the Hedgehog. But you know. You guys really kicked some robots. I'd have lent a fist, but I told Amy I'd wait right here to help her dig around for some Ancients junk and do some heavy lifting. Wait, this is the spot where Amy was kidnapped? You've just been standing here this whole time? She just sees me as a piece of meat. Which is awesome! I knew he said awesome before the text showed it, because I've played this before, but god, the text is slow. Why? Anyway, while I was waiting for Amy, these robots showed up. Amy's been kidnapped, and... Kidnapped? Why are you standing around yapping? Don't bore me with the details. Just point me in the right direction and show me who to hit. It's whom to hit, Knuckles. And according to the latest file I recovered, she was data mining in the canyon, or waiting for a dining companion. The signal's pretty bad. Then let's go there and hit some whom. Good plan. Good plan. Why are some of these sentences so slow? It makes no sense. But either way, folks, the party has been assembled. We now have Knuckles the Echidna. He is available and unlocked for play. Yeah. So let's move on to the next level and enjoy our full team at their fullest potential so that we can get all the emblems we want so that we don't have any problems whatsoever with the playthrough. Those are big scorpions. Alright, let's go back. And no, I'm not kidding. For the third time this week, the third time this playthrough, I'm going to replay the first level again. This time I have the full party. This time I can get every single collectible in the game, no problem. But unfortunately, guys, I have to do some backtracking, and I do have to do some extra busy work now. Because I'm replaying the first level, I'm replaying Seaside Jungle, I'm replaying the Scrapyard. So that means the rest of Part 3, all of Part 4 are going to be me replaying levels and getting all the collectibles and stuff. And no, I'm not skipping it, no, I'm not cutting it out, because this is the core gameplay. I'm leaving this in and making you watch the first level again, because you need to understand, this is Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, guys. At the very beginning of the game, until you get all 4 party members, you have to replay all the levels and do all this busy work just to go, just to get the collectibles, excuse me, and even to reach the final boss. This is true. In order to reach the final boss of the game, I think you need like 32 out of 34 emblems. Like, you really aren't allowed to miss a lot. So this is going to be a 100% completion playthrough. Not because I want to, but because it's kind of necessary in order to reach the end of the game. So of course I have to replay these older levels, because if I don't, I can't reach the final boss. So yeah, we kind of have to play this. So sorry. If you want to get to all of the new content, the new levels, I would suggest skipping to Part 5. Unless this is being uploaded today, and you're watching it as it's new, in which case you're just gonna have to wait. Because I'm going through some old levels again. I don't know what to tell you. Blame Sanzaru Games. They developed this thing. They made this game, and from what I understand, they made the lesser received Sly Cooper game, because like Sly Cooper was originally done by Sucker Punch on the PlayStation 2, the original trilogy. And then they did Thieves in Time, which was a PlayStation 3 game, and that was not Sucker Punch, it was them, and they took the reins. And I can only, you know, I haven't really played the Sly Cooper series at all. It's the weirdest thing. In the PlayStation 2 era, there were lots of, like, first-party mascots, you know? Stuff like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, a lot of those franchises. And I had the PS2. I was playing things like Final Fantasy X, Grand Theft Auto, you know, Sonic games on the PlayStation 2. Like, I was playing a whole bunch of stuff on there. I have a huge PlayStation 2 library in my house right now. But for whatever reason, whenever I was in the rental store, I never really wanted to give Sly Cooper or Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter a shot, and so I had to wait until like the late 10s to really start getting into these franchises. My first Ratchet and Clank game, no lie, was the 2016 reboot with the movie, like the movie tie-in game. That was my first Ratchet and Clank game. That was the first one I ever played. Which was kind of funny, because when I first played that game, I was actually thinking back. I was thinking about the first few levels that you play in that game and thinking like, wow, this feels like an old PS1 game or an old PS2 game. The level design is so old school, I kind of like it. And then people told me like, oh, Clement, Ratchet & Clank 2016, a lot of level design is just straight up copy-pasted from the original game. It's literally the original game, only with updated graphics and new mechanics and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. That explains why it feels like a PS2 game. But I felt good about that because I was just like, wow, it feels like a PS2 game. You know when you play a game and you're like, this feels old school because modern games are not designed in such a way anymore. But I played the first Jak and Daxter about 2 years ago because I didn't play it back then. And I still haven't touched a Sly Cooper game. Haven't touched him at all. So the whole point of the story was I haven't played the first 3 games, and I haven't played A Thieves in Time for the PlayStation 3, which Sanzaru Games developed, and they're the developers of Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. I don't know if Thieves in Time is actually as bad as people say. I am one of those weirdos who likes Castlevania 64 for the Nintendo 64, and I think most people will tell you Castlevania 64 is a bad game. So... you know, I have peculiar tastes, let me tell you. I have peculiar tastes. I don't know if Sanzaru Games' Sly Cooper game was good or bad. I don't know at all, but I understand it was received kind of poorly because it wasn't Sucker Punches, and it did have design problems, but I don't know. Never played it, can't tell. So... anywho, here's what Knuckles can do. Now that we have Knuckles in the party, he can dig into these plots of ground, and he can go down these pathways, and that's how you reach areas you wouldn't be able to reach normally. See, there's a crystal tucked behind here, and the only way I can get to it is by digging through as Knuckles. Otherwise, I would have gotten that crystal earlier, but I couldn't because there's no way down there without Knuckles. You know what I'm saying? Ah. And there's no way to get all the crystals in the second stage without Knuckles, and there's no way to get all the blueprints in the third stage without Knuckles. So believe me, I planned this playthrough out. There's a reason I didn't go for all the collectibles in Scrapyard when I was going through it earlier in this part. It's because I couldn't. You know, with Sonic Tails and Sticks only, I was not going to get that completed anytime soon, so I just sped through the level, and yeah. But, and Scrapyard, from the Let's Plays I've seen of Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, was like the one level that really, like, made people kind of give up on it. At least I know it made Kobanemani456 give up on the game, because it took him like 15, 16 minutes to go through that level, and there's so many pathways that lead to dead ends and alternate things that you don't need to go to, and I can understand why someone would give up on that. But either way, I've completed the first stage. I got all the emblems, I got all the crystals. Yeah, that's done. Just 2 more levels to replay. 2 more levels to replay, ladies and gentlemen. But first, let's go into Tails' workshop. Now that I've collected a whole bunch of blueprints, I can actually unlock things in his shop. So you need 6 for every single one, and they do accumulate. They're not specific. As long as you have 6 blueprint pieces, you can build something. And then you just use the 3DS touchscreen in order to drag the pieces together and fill out the map. And now I've highlighted blueprint locations on the adventure map. Again, the map shows up on the bottom screen, and now if I look at the bottom screen, I can see these blue gear icons, and the blue gear icons will be like, hey, there's a blueprint over there, you should go grab it. And yeah, that makes things a little easier. Anywho, more backtracking in part 4. See you then.